Uh, Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, hot friends. What's up? Welcome to the Morning Deuce with David Spindle. Well, we talked a little bit about the RNC yesterday, saying it might pack a little drama, and it did. Started off with them with quite an argument on the floor with all the delegates that are there, in this sort of weird last revival to see if they could make a last ditch thing to change the rules to knock out Trump, and it's just wrong for so many reasons. One, the guy won so many popular votes in every rule you had in place. Changing it, the rules at the end is just so weird. But secondly, they were like, does anyone agree with this? And a bunch of people said aye. And yet they just were like, oh, the nays have it. And they just ignored people saying ayes. That's the best when a verbal vote happens and the guy choosing to listen just chooses to listen however he wants. I love that. Classic. Total mess. I mean, I just don't get it. Even, Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, he was not a big Trump fan, but after meeting with him, kind of figured out where they had some common ground and understood and compromised and united behind the party. And the whole purpose of this convention is to unite the party. And the first thing they do is have this weird show of complete lack of unity. And the party had 8 years to nominate someone, really, if you think about it, 8 years to build a candidate. And they still don't seem to have something they can all get behind, which is just very weird, that the Republican Party is just not able to. I mean, the people within the party, fine. It's just, they seem to be fairly united at least, but the establishment of the party and its lawmakers still cannot get everything collected. But beyond that, the fireworks are definitely that Melania's Donald Trump's wife, speech appeared to be the exact same in several instances as Michelle Obama's DNC speech from 2008. So the internet freaks out, and this is the thing, it's 2016, so the minute you see something, you have to react on social media, because social media is the way that you share your feelings, because everyone's feelings matter, even though they don't. But that's why you get a podcast, people like me. So then your feelings matter to dozens. But the point is, everyone's like, oh, this is exactly the worst thing in the world. Or oh, I could never vote for Trump now. Or it doesn't matter. We're not electing Melania. It doesn't matter at all. You have to be hot take city. You have to either be 100% on one side or 100% on the other. So I'm here to tell you it's probably someone there in the middle. I will tell you why. First off, I'm a little befuddled as to how it happened, because you can't possibly do a speech with that much copying of a speech so recent and not think people would notice. It sort of felt like whomever the speechwriters were, and yes, there were speechwriters, and I know Melania Trump told Matt Lauer that she wrote the speech, but the exact statement was the team of speechwriters took through her experiences and wrote out whatever and blah, 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 and she even added some of her own words and insight, but clearly she didn't write it. And pretty much none of them did, unless they wrote the original one in 2008, which makes me wonder, is the speechwriter just that kid in high school who wrote a paper the year before that kind of worked for this class, so he just passed in the same paper for another class and hoped nobody would notice? I'm just wondering, just saying. That'd be a sweet story if we find out the main writer was the same dude and he just got lazy and took a lot more money to just basically give the same speech and thought no one would notice. Then that guy would be a hero. But anyway, the speech, I think it matters more than it doesn't. And here's why. Yes, Melania Trump is not the person you're electing to be president. Yes, the first lady has some importance, but not an overwhelming amount. You can rally a community. You can talk about what matters and stuff, and some have taken on the role. Nancy Reagan, Lady Bird Johnson, Hillary Clinton, they took on the role in a much stronger capacity than other first ladies have. Laura Bush wasn't the most aggressive, outspoken first lady. Michelle Obama is a pretty outspoken first lady, but most of what she does is healthy, active, ambitious lifestyles, all that stuff, right? So the reason this matters, though, is because this is Melania Trump's big audition to be first lady, more or less, right? And she doesn't give a lot of speeches. They say, I think she trained for months with a speech coach for something like this. You have to be brave to not speak great English and to give a speech like this that's going out to the world. I will give you that. However, Donald Trump for 10 months has been saying that what makes him different and why he's important is because he's the counterculture candidate. He is not a political insider. He knows how the game works because he donates money, but he's not inside. The system is broken, and he's from outside the system, and he's going to fix it. And that's a huge thing for him. He makes all these speeches that are so long, and he says he doesn't use a teleprompter. He's not a politician. All these politicians use teleprompters. They have people telling them what to say. He just knows what he's supposed to talk about. You know, he's blunt, and he says it like he means to say it. That's like the number one thing that his supporters generally have pulled on. They say they think he's trustworthy, and he means what he says, and he says it like it is. That's what they say, right? So when you have all that, and that's your campaign platform, you know, make America great again. Get out of this broken system. That's what you're saying. You know, pick me. I'm different than everybody else. The establishment doesn't like me, but it doesn't matter because I'm different than everybody else. But then your wife gives her speech, and her speech is the exact antithesis of everything that you have been standing for the last 10 months, right? You're standing for not a super teleprompter speech. You know, I say what I mean. Well, this speech was clearly ultra politics. I mean, it was taken from somebody else. So when you say for 10 months that the epitome of what you're not is the Obama administration, that you say that the administration made terrible deals, that they don't win anymore, that they're just politics, all these things that you say, and you don't want to be like them. And then you take an exact speech from the people that you are trying not to be like, from the people you are trying to distance yourself from your, I guess maybe not enemy, but from the antithesis of what you want to be. And you use that speech. It's not like Melania Trump is quoting Nancy Reagan here, or, you know, somebody of that establishment's ilk, and she could say, you know, I'm drawing from a former first lady who is what I hope to be when I'm in the office, right? That's not the way that the Trump campaign has portrayed the Obamas, so you can't go that route. So why are you taking a speech from them? Why for 10 months is this campaign saying they're different, they're not politics, they don't repeat other people's words, they're coming from somewhere else, they're completely different, they're a political outsider, and then you have your wife be a keynote speaker the first night of the RNC, and it's her big debut, and she quotes word for word a speech from someone who is exactly what you say you're not. Exactly a political insider. Exactly someone you say has been bought by politics and big banks and is part of the system and just says things on a teleprompter and works the system. Exactly what you say you're not. You're not. It's a bad representation of the system. To me, it's like me saying vegans are the best. People who eat meat are bad. Eating meat is the worst thing ever, and I'm saying it in a t-shirt that says In-N-Out Burger, and I'm dating Joey Chestnut, the hot dog eating champion of the world, right? It just gives a mixed message. The best metaphor I can give is it happens all the time. It just happened recently. A lawmaker will be very anti-gay, like a lot anti-gay sentiment, you know, holding against laws for the LGBT community, you know, not pro-gay marriage, outspoken against gay marriage, outspoken against rights for those in the gay community as couples, right? And then it will come out that the lawmaker is gay in a gay relationship. This happens often enough, right? Unfortunately, I don't know. But it happens, right? So the thing is it, you know, do we care that this person's gay? Well, not in particular. Do we care that this person is promoting anti-gay values? Well, not necessarily, but we put both of those together, and then all of a sudden we do care, because you can't be exactly what you've spoken up against as being bad and what you've stood up against for so long. So you stood up against no rights for the gay community and, you know, being gay not being something deserving of equal rights or being something valuable or of the same value, and then you are outed as being gay. You no longer are trustworthy. you lose your trustworthiness in your opinions in terms of public appeal. You lose your credibilities moving forward in your platforms, your convictions, what you believe in. It's all clouded. It's all, muddied over. What are your real intentions? Who is really supporting you? What are your real ambitions? And that's how I feel like this speech came over a little bit. Is it the end of the world for the Trump campaign? No. Does it seem like a lackadaisical slip from a campaign that seems to have managed its PR fairly well for such an active campaign? Yes, it doesn't seem to make any sense. But does it matter? I think so. I think so, because you're doing everything you've said you don't do. You're doing everything you've stood up against, just like that lawmaker that I'm referencing. So I think it does matter. I think it is something important. And I think that all in all, you have to say day one of the convention is a loss for the Republican Party. A win in that people are talking about it, but a loss in terms of the way the party has come across. It comes across ununified and unorganized, which isn't a great win. I mean, thankfully, the voters, the public voters at least, they don't need the party to be unified, the establishment to be unified. They just need the popular vote in enough places to win the electoral college vote, right? But that's it. So maybe it's not the biggest thing in the world that the convention looks so scattered, but it certainly doesn't help. Moving on to topic number 2, another media fiasco. We have the Kim K, Kanye West, Taylor Swift sort of saga that's going on, the soap opera, right? So Kanye writes a line in that song Famous about, about how he made Taylor Swift famous and that, she'd still have sex with him or whatever. And for months, Taylor Swift has been saying how offended she was by it, while Kim Kardashian, Kanye's wife, has been saying she knew it the whole time and that he asked her about it and she was fine with it and she thought it was whatever and she was okay with it and it was art. Well, now, finally, Kim releases video of a phone call that Kanye has with Taylor Swift where she basically says, yeah, it's your art. Thank you for just even asking me. I feel so honored that you asked me. Sure, it's your art. You do what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. This is the thing that is totally made up. And the fact that people are taking it serious just is a little strange to me. I mean, if you care, if you want to entertain yourself with it, that's fine. But the reality is, Kim Kardashian had these videos for 6 months and waited until an episode of her TV show that was referencing this before she put the videos out. Then Taylor Swift's written response, the people on the internet have found out that the response was written back in February and that she literally had to go through to find the response. So it's not something organically that happened this week. It's something that their teams have clearly been prepping together like a soap opera drama for months now. They've been sitting on it for months and months and months without releasing it and clearly worked together to release it. And the other thing is, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, their entire life is recorded. They have, $150 million contract with E for like the next 2 or 3 years, something crazy like that. Kim makes like $52 million a year, but no one really knows what she does. So with that in mind, every conversation you have with that family is recorded. I mean, that's what their life is, a 24-hour TV show. You can't possibly have a phone call like that if you're Taylor Swift and not know that it's being recorded. But also, clearly they did. I mean, this whole thing appears to be organized. And the fact that people are making such a drama out of it, it is like the real-life OC. Like, they took the OC and these fake characters from TV soap opera dramas, like semi-reality dramas, and they just made them real. And I applaud them from the business sense. I mean, good for you guys to figure out how to mystify people. But if you're really taking this as like the end-all, be-all of some beef, it's closer to a soap opera in wrestling than it is to, a real actual altercation between opposing sides. It's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker. More likes, more clicks, more views, more watching the TV show, making your brand more valuable. more listening to the song Famous, more listening to Taylor Swift songs. That's it. It's not a real thing. Stay woke, people. Stay woke. And that's the end of part 1. For part 2 today, 2 interesting throwbacks. First, I know you guys know, diehard poker fan. Played a lot in college, made a lot of money playing in college. It first became real for me in college when my parents were kind of telling me they didn't think that they could fly me home for Thanksgiving one year. And I won a poker tournament for $2 out of like 3,000 or 4,000 people. I think I came in second and won like $3,000 and was like, I'm going to fly myself home. And that was the beginning of me being like, okay, this is real. Like, there's some opportunities here. So I put a lot of effort in. I read a lot of books. I studied a lot. I read a lot of forums online. I would play all the time. And what I would do when I wasn't playing, if I didn't have a lot of time to play, I was in like some chat rooms with some really good players. And I would ask questions and watch them play. And then I grew to learn to really like and appreciate some of the best online poker players in the world. And I would look them up when there were big tournaments and watch how they would perform to try to learn. You know, like a kid who wants to be a baseball player watches a professional baseball player on TV. Or, you know, a girl who wants to be a dancer or musician watches, you know, a dancer or musician, whatever, what have you. Picks a role model of some sort, I guess, in a sport or arena. One of the people I picked was an online player named Johnny Bax. Very famous player, really well-established guy. This is like 2009 probably. Learned a lot from him. Big fan, rooted heavily for him. And this year, he's a guy from New York. I think he's in his 60s. You know, online poker shut down a while ago. The government shut it down. But this year he made the final 9 of the World Series of Poker main event, the $10,000 main event, 6,700 of the best players in the world and a couple really crappy players taking a shot at luck too. And it's cool. He's the winning chip stack, and I found myself kind of looking at how he was doing on the internet and rooting for him for old time's sake and remembering, you know, what it was like to root for him and what I'd learned from him. And it's cool to see someone like that do something, you know, that you're envious of, something that you remember. It almost has the vibe of like watching a great golfer who's a little bit older and hasn't been in the spotlight for a long time, and then all of a sudden they have that 1 or 2 rounds and they make it back. Tom Watson did it a couple years ago, and you're just like, wow, it's been a long time since I really watched that guy, but I used to love watching him. It's great to see him when he's at the top of his game. And that's how I feel. I've always wanted to be the best in the world at something. And if you win that tournament, you're the best poker player in the world, at least for one day, you know, and you keep the world championship main event title for a year, but at least for that one day, no one is better than you at that one game on the planet. So I'm hoping, Johnny Bax, whose real name is Cliff Josephi, can win that, can be the best in the world for one day. So, yeah, there's the inspiration to get you through. What can you be the best in the world at today? Or at least the best you can be. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You know, what are you going to be? You're going to be the best you can be. And that's what we're doing today. Morning Deuce, D-Spin. I'm out. Oh, I'm going to end today by playing the Melania Trump, Michelle Obama side by side. Because, I mean, it's just too good not to play. If you haven't heard it, you have to hear it. So I'll play it now. But I bid you adieu. Have a great day.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life.
And Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That you treat people with respect.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
And to pass them on to the next generation.
Because we want our children in this nation to know.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that
the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.